Blackshark V2 Pro has been one of the best reviewed gaming headsets that I can remember in the last few years. But now Razer is updating the beloved esports focused headset with a new microphone, sound modes, and Bluetooth connectivity. So do these upgrades make the $200 Blackshark V2 Pro 2023 edition worth it? Well, let's dive in and check it out. Thanks for watching 9 to 5 Toys. Be sure to like, subscribe, and enable notifications with that bell icon so you don't miss any upcoming videos. Hey everyone, I'm Jordan with 9 to 5 Toys. Now, obviously, we are recording with the new Blackshark V2 Pro microphone because, well, it sounds that good. That's something I've been pretty hypercritical of Razer's microphones in the past. I even made a video on how to make your microphone sound better for free, which really stemmed from the fact that the Kraken Ultimate microphone did not sound very good. So this is a huge step forward. Razer's making some big moves here. So we're going to focus a lot on the microphone and the EQ modes, which is another huge new feature for the Blackshark V2 2023 edition. But first, let's just start with a little bit of an overview. At a glance, the new Blackshark V2 Pro looks very similar to the older version. Razer even suggests in its own materials that the best way to tell the difference is to look at the charging port. The new model has a USB-C port, while the older is micro USB. Otherwise, the profile is nearly identical. It sports the same helicopter pilot design that fits great in the gaming headset design, and it is available in both black and white. As far as other upgrades, Razer has extended the battery life of this headset up to 70 hours, which is up from, I believe, 24 in the older version. And we'll touch briefly on comfort. Razer has made a couple of updates here, but mainly it's going to be very similar to the older model, which is a good thing because, once again, that was well reviewed and regarded as one of the most comfortable gaming headsets. Ultra soft flow knit cushions provide a comfortable seal over my ears. There is some significant clamping force, but it never got too fatiguing for me, unlike the recent Turtle Beach Stealth Pro headset, which could teeter on the edge of too fatiguing. Sizing adjustments are made by these little arms here that just slide up and down. It could use, in my opinion, a little bit more resistance on that to make that a little bit harder to adjust. It is pretty easy to slide up and down, and sometimes I have to feel like I have to readjust it more frequently than I would some other headsets. You know, it's still not that big of a deal. Just grab your hand on here and you can slide it up and down very easily, but it would be nice to have a little bit more resistance in there to make that not as necessary. Now, this headset has been out for a little bit, but my first unit had a few little technical issues. So while I was waiting for a new unit to come in, I posted on our community tab on YouTube to ask people, what sort of things they wanted to hear about it, based on other reviews that they've already seen. So really the two main things that people were interested in hearing about is the microphone and different EQ settings and EQ modes, which really are the two major updates in this headset. So that's what we will be focusing on mostly. So first off, we've been listening to it this whole time. Let's talk about the microphone. This is a new super wideband hyper clear microphone, and we've been using it for this entire video. I do think it is a very good sounding headset microphone. And hopping over into Synapse here, you can see that there is a lot of control over this microphone. So obviously up here first, we have mic volume, and then there is a voice gate. You're checking the little help thing up here. Voice gate controls the amount of microphone input. Any sound that registers below the threshold is attenuated and will not be heard. So this sounds really great in theory. Turning it on for me has given the headset some glitches. And it's also made the total volume a little bit lower and just really is a very aggressive setting. So I do not recommend using a voice gate, at least in the current settings. And then moving down to enhancements, we have volume normalization, which this, if you read the little helper, volume normalization ensures consistent output levels by reducing sudden loud noises and increasing soft audio. So it's kind of like a compressor to kind of take the loud and soft sounds and put them all together. And then we have vocal clarity, which almost acts like an EQ, emphasizing the clarity of the vocal range for the volume of the microphone. So that's something you can play around with, and if you enjoy that, leave that on. And then we have mic noise cancellation. So this is the way I would use for knocking out some background noise instead of the voice gate. So here we have it set to 22, which is kind of where I found the sweet spot to be for me. So I'll type a little bit in the background here, and it really does a great job of knocking that out. If I turn it off and still type, you can kind of hear that in the background. I'll turn it back on. The default setting was 55 right here in the middle, which I felt was a little bit too aggressive. But here we will take it up all the way to high, so you can at least hear how that sounds. I'll turn it back down, and then ultimately I'll leave it around 22, but I am going to turn this off so we can talk about the different equalizer settings. So the other big thing here is that we have equalizer settings. I've had it on a custom EQ for this whole video, which is kind of based around the broadcast, but I kind of brought down some of the boosts and then kind of changed a little bit. We'll take a peek at that here in a second. But here, let's move over and check out the default sound. This is the straight out of the box default 0 EQ. This is what the microphone sounds like. And then we have mic boost over here. And then the next one that we have is the broadcast. Obviously, this is catered more towards streaming or recording your vocals or something like that. There's a fuller sound to it. And then on the flip side, we have conference, which changes the sound almost more like what most gaming headset microphones are, which is more emphasized on clarity. Doesn't necessarily have the full body sound of what your voice actually sounds like, but it's really emphasizing clarity over everything else. And then we'll go back to the custom profile that I've been using here, and that's what you can see. All right, we have mic monitoring or side tone, which you can turn on if you want to hear yourself. The only thing that stinks here is that any effect changes that you're making do not come through the side tone, so you can't monitor what those effects are doing. So really, I do think Razer's making some big gains here with the microphone. And there might be some audio glitches you can hear in there, which we will talk about in a second. But first, I want to talk about the Esports EQ settings in here. This is another big focus of the new Blackshark V2 Pro 23. And these modes were developed, in collaboration with top pro players. I don't think they necessarily say who those players were, but they were developed to really focus on different, competitive esports titles like Apex Legends, Fortnite, Valorant, CSGO, and Call of Duty to emphasize the sounds that you need to hear when you are playing competitively. Now, I personally don't often play any of these titles really, but hopping into a deathmatch and turning on the right EQ mode for Valorant really did make a big difference. And even just looking at the different EQ profiles within Synapse, they are very unique. It's not just a one-size-fits-all EQ like the game mode and the standard EQ modes. Underneath the frequency sliders are labels like footsteps and scan in Apex Legends, or healing and gunshots in Fortnite. And these esports EQ profiles can also be, further customized if you would like to put your own take on what frequencies are the most important. Now, currently, all of these supported titles are esports-focused FPS games. In the press briefing, I asked Razer if it will be expanding on custom-tuned EQ profiles for other games and genres, and the rep said that they are working on more modes, but no promises on a time frame for these. And another huge benefit here is that these modes are saved natively on the headset. So this is huge for console players who aren't going to be connected to Synapse. And the way you cycle through those is you can change between standard or esports EQ modes by holding, there's a kind of a multifunction button over here on the right ear cup. Hold that for a few seconds and there will be a voice prompt that tells you which mode you're in, and then you just press that button and it will cycle through those different modes. So that's great if you're on a console and want to have a specific mode for Call of Duty. Otherwise, just an overall sound, the Razer Blackshark V2 Pro 23 does sound really good. I still feel like some of the higher end headsets, the Arctis Nova Pro Wireless, the Turtle Beach Stealth Pro, have a little bit of an edge when it comes to just overall clarity and imaging and really pinpointing, where things are, but those are much more expensive headsets. And I do think that the EQ modes on here, at least in Valorant, really help to kind of, accentuate those things. A little bit better imaging, a little bit better positioning when you have those modes on in those specific games. I found the stock sound to be very neutral. There wasn't too much bass, there wasn't, too much or too little mids, which are sometimes can be all over the place when it comes to gaming headsets. I found this to sound really good for, gaming and for listening to music. When I did want to listen to music, I just ended up boosting some of the higher frequencies a little bit to get it right where I wanted it, and I really enjoyed the sound coming out of here. Here we're going to get into some things that aren't so great about this headset. So one thing that they removed with this 23 edition is there is no 3.5mm input. So Xbox players are kind of out of luck here because it doesn't have wireless connectivity for Xbox. And now without that 3.5 connector, you cannot plug into the controller. Of course, it has different compatibility because this does have Bluetooth now, so you can use it with a mobile device. You can use it with your Switch, but for for Xbox players, you're kind of left in the dark here, unfortunately. Now, in the past, Razer has had, designed for Xbox headsets, so maybe we'll see something like that in the future. But currently, with this model, if you're playing on Xbox, you're going to want to look for the older one or look for a different headset entirely. And the other thing I want to talk about is a few connection issues. Now, the very first headset that I had a couple of issues where the EQ modes weren't really making any changes if I pushed the button. And Razer assured me that no one else so far has been experiencing these issues, so it's probably just a one-off, but I wanted to mention that. Additionally, now with this new headset, it's probably one of the glitchiest wireless connections that I've had in a while for wireless gaming headsets. Even just walking from my PC here, like 20 feet away, I was working on my sim rig, getting that set up while still listening to audio. There were a few glitches coming through here. The signal was kind of having some issues. And you can kind of see it. I have the, little dongle is right up here on top of my PC case. So it's not like it's in the back, obstructed by a bunch of things. It's sitting right here on top. So I don't really think that that would be the issue. And when I was listening back to some of this audio that we've been recording, I could hear a little bit of glitch in the microphone as well, which I attribute to that same wireless connection issue. So that definitely is a bummer in this $200 headset. I'm also curious, I haven't heard many other people talking about these or experiencing these same issues with these headsets. So I don't know if mine are just a big fluke, but definitely something to be aware of because that does detract from the overall $200 experience. So Razer does have a 2-year warranty on these if you're experiencing these issues. It's very easy for me to get a new headset in. I know it's a little bit different because they're sending them out to press people, but they do have a warranty. So if you have an issue, you should be able to get that replaced. But those issues aside, when everything is working here, I do think that this is a great headset, especially if you play a lot of competitive FPS games, especially those 5 titles that they have custom EQ modes for. Like I said, I didn't try out all of the different modes, but even just in Valorant, the difference that EQ mode made was very noticeable. It really emphasized the right frequencies to be able to hear exactly what was going on. It's a bummer that the price point has gone up $20, but you are getting that Bluetooth connectivity, you're getting this incredible microphone, and you're getting all those pre-built EQ modes, which are very beneficial. So if you are a competitive FPS player, this is definitely a headset that you're going to want to keep your eyes on and probably pick up and try out. On the flip side though, if you don't play those titles, or if you're on a budget, of course, this is a newer model, so now is a great time to pick up the older model as well. The Blackshark V2 Pro, the original with the micro USB, is on sale for like $122 right now on Amazon, so great time to pick that up. All right, well, that's going to do it for this review of the Razer Blackshark V2 Pro 2023. Let us know what you think about it down in the comments below. And if you're looking for some other videos to watch, I'll link to our last headset review of the Turtle Beach Stealth Pro, as well as our most recent video. And thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up so others can find it easier, and consider subscribing. This is Jordan with 9to5 Toys.